to Magic Box Story Time with me, Lottie. Today, we are going to find out what happens in Chapter 4, the final chapter of The Tale of the Artist in the Snow. Will Arcadia and her team of trackers find missing reindeer? Chapter 4, Trapped. The food wasn't just delicious. It also fed them lots of new energy, and when they started walking again, everyone had a perky spring in their step, especially Arcadia. She went striding ahead, chattering non-stop about tracks. "Let's find those reindeer tracks," she said. "What's that there?" She squatted and examined something in the snow. "Are they tracks? Yes? No? Yes? Yes?" No, said someone. "They're leaves." This type of thing carried on for a while, and Iris wondered about telling Arcadia not to worry about spotting tracks, because if they did find reindeer ones, she and her friends would easily be able to tell. In the end, though, she said nothing, because Arcadia seemed to be having such a lovely time. Anyway, finally, someone else actually did spot some reindeer tracks. Arcadia hugged a tree in excitement and said, "Let us follow them!" They tried. But after a few minutes, they realised it was snowing more heavily than before. "Oh, Constable's crayons!" cried Arcadia. "It's really coming down!" She was more or less shouting, but the snow muffled her voice, and Iris called, "I beg your pardon?" Arcadia turned round. "It's almost like a blizzard!" she yelled. "I mean, it is a blizzard! Shield your eyes, delicious creatures!" She stood and squinted out into the snowy air. "Ah!" she cried. "I can make out a dark shape, a rock, perhaps, to shelter against." "Better not be another flippin' snow giant!" shrieked Red Woolly Hat. Arcadia either didn't hear him or pretended not to. "Let's try and reach it, my darlings!" she howled, and she plodded off towards the rock, or whatever it was. After a short while, she called to the group again, but nobody answered. "Are you with me?" she said, and stopped. Standing in the whirling, whipping snow, she found she was alone. "I can't see you, childlings!" she shouted. "Where are you?" Nothing but the wind replied. Arcadia wasn't the type to panic immediately when faced with being lost and alone in a blizzard, but still, she didn't feel entirely comfortable with the way things were looking. "Where are you, my treasures?" she called again. "Trackers? Trackers? Can you track me, please?" "It's all right," said a voice at her side. Arcadia screamed out, "Oh!" But looking down, she saw Iris holding on to her fake fur coat. "Oh, thank Picasso's palette!" cried Arcadia, and she got all soggy and emotional and had to get her flimsy handkerchief out again and blow her nose. "Thought I was lost," she gurgled. "And even worse, thought I'd lost you and I couldn't bear that, beautiful friends." Iris smiled. "It's fine," she said. "We were with you all along. It's just hard to see or hear anything in this blizzard." They reached the mound they'd been heading for and tried to shelter there. Whilst they stood huddled together and doing their best not to get fluff in their mouths from other people's hats and scarves, they realised there was a noise. Not a snowy, windy blizzard noise. They were used to all of that. No, this was a noise from inside the mound they were shivering against. A shuffling kind of noise. "Can you hear that?" said Arcadia. Everyone nodded. "Sounds like, oh my, sounds like there's something trapped under there." She tapped the mound. "It's frozen solid," she said, and tapped again. "Hello?" she shouted at the ice. "Hello in there? Can you hear us? Do you want to get out? Can we assist you?" She didn't get much of an answer, just more of the same shuffling noise. "Oh, I can't bear it," Arcadia cried, because she definitely felt the situation needed some drama. "A soul trapped inside this frozen block. What shall we do?" Here, she flung herself to the ground and hammered the snow a bit. "How can we help?" she wailed. Then she lay down on her back, looking up at Iris and the rest, and said, "Think, my brave trackers, think!" They all thought. First, they thought about hammers, but no one had one. Then they thought about exploding the frozen mound, but no one had any exploding stuff either, and even if they had, and even if they'd exploded the mound, that would probably mean they would also explode the thing inside that was making the shuffling noises, and that would make them very sad. "Absolutely no explosions," said Arcadia, and they all agreed. Finally, they thought about fire to melt the mound, but no one had anything that could make a fire. Arcadia, however, leapt to her feet at this idea. "No, beloveds," she cried, "we can't make fire, but we can make heat. And heat is enough to melt this thing. How warm did we feel after our octopussing and other warm-up exercises?" Red Woolly Hat said he'd felt very warm indeed. Someone else said they'd almost got too warm. "Exactly," said Arcadia, waving her arms in excitement. "So let's do all those warm-ups and then make a ring round the mound and give it an enormous heated hug." The group had never done anything like that before. They'd only ever done warm-up exercises to warm themselves up, not to warm up something else. They liked the idea a lot, and on Arcadia's count of 3, they all did 10 star jumps, 10 seconds of running on the spot, and a great spurt of octopussing. When they'd finished, Arcadia shrieked, "Form a ring, instantly!" They all stood round the frozen mound, held hands, even with people they didn't usually hold hands with, and pressed their bodies against the bulk of ice. "Think of hot things, childlings," said Arcadia, "anything to keep you feeling warm." They thought of campfires, and hot water bottles, and cocoa, and school radiators, and soup, but not vegetable, and blankets, and duvets, and roasted chestnuts, and buttery jacket potatoes, and one of them even thought of jumping into warm melted chocolate and living there forever. "It's working," said the person who'd been sobbing on top of the snow giant. "The ice is melting." "Yes," said Arcadia, scraping away all the slush. "What's in there? Iris, can you see? Have you got it?" Gradually, all the ice melted and fell away in sludgy chunks, and everyone could see the thing that had been trapped inside. "Oh!" gasped Arcadia. "I simply don't believe it. It's reindeer! The mighty, magnificent beast has been stuck here all this time, poor animal!" "Must be really hungry," said Red Woolly Hat. "Indeed," said Arcadia. She tried to give some leftover chocolate-covered raisins to Reindeer, but it refused to eat them. It's not nice, is it, eating things that look like your own poo droppings? Everybody stroked and hugged Reindeer, and he seemed to like Iris's hugs best of all. Arcadia saw this and asked Iris to look after Reindeer on the walk back to the art studio. "To give us energy for the march home," Arcadia said, "I have some rather special chocolate for everyone." Red Woolly Hat frowned. "How special?" he said. "It is chocolate, isn't it? Not something you found in the snow that looks like chocolate." No, dear childling," said Arcadia. "I did find some chocolate in the snow, you're right, when I was looking for tracks earlier, but I think I'll just keep that snow chocolate as an ornament, because it didn't quite taste like the kind of chocolate I usually eat." Instead of the snow chocolate, Arcadia handed out delicious chocolate coins, and they munched them happily and began the journey home. As they walked, they made up a song to sing about their adventure. The tune was the same as Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And here are the words, so you can sing it too, if you want. "Reindeer, the frozen reindeer, stuck for 5 years in the snow, until we came and saved him. Now his picture's good to go." When they arrived at the studio, tired and happy, Arcadia thanked Iris and her friends, dramatically and artistically, for helping her to find reindeer. "I could never have done it without you," she said, "because of being such a sensitive artiste." "Our pleasure," said Iris. "Are you going to start painting reindeer's picture right now?" Arcadia said she was. "I can't keep Prince Lars the long-legged waiting," she said, looking ever so slightly anxious. "Don't worry," said Iris. "If he starts complaining, just give him some snow chocolate. That'll keep him happy." And that is the end of Chapter 4, the final chapter of The Tale of the Artist in the Snow. Hope you enjoyed it. Good old Arcadia, eh? Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Magic Box Storytime with me, Lottie. Take care, everyone. Bye!